afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my science class. For today, we are going to discuss about image formation and ray diagrams involving spherical mirror. So this is an example of spherical mirror. It's a concave mirror, or also known as converging mirror. So last time, we already discussed about the rules when it comes to ray diagrams, or when you illustrate diagrams, there are certain rules that you need to remember. And also, we already located all the parts of the spherical mirror. So here, this is the side view. Actually, this is the side view of the spherical mirror. Let us recall and let us identify all the parts needed for our ray diagram. So this is the vertex. It's located on the center on the surface of the mirror. This one is the aperture, and the aperture is the width of the mirror. This is the center of curvature, or letter C. This is the focal point, or letter F, and it's located between the vertex and the center of curvature. And this is the principal axis, and the principal axis is a line joining the center of curvature and the vertex. So there are certain rules that you need to remember when illustrating a ray diagram. Always remember that an arrow represents an object. The height of the arrow also represents the height of the object. If the arrow points upward, meaning that the object is virtual or upright. If the arrow points downward, the image is virtual or real or inverted. Also, there are three rules that you need to remember when we illustrate the types of rays. There are three types of rays. We have the chief ray, we have the focal ray, and we have the parallel ray. In the first rule, any ray passing through the focal point will reflect parallel to the principal axis. So again, example, this is the object, and just like what we've mentioned, any ray passing through the focal point, this is the focal point, will reflect parallel to the principal axis. So, meaning to say that we use, or here, we use a focal ray. The second rule, it states that any ray parallel to the principal axis will reflect through the focus. So if the incident ray, or if this ray is parallel to the principal axis, the reflected ray will pass through the focus. And the last type of ray, and the third rule, we will use chief ray. So it states that any ray passing through the center of curvature, this is the center of curvature, so any ray passing through the center of curvature will reflect back through the center of curvature. So this is just a review. Now, we are going to locate the different images, and we are going to describe the characteristics images or the position of images and its orientation using a ray diagram. So in order for us to identify the type of image that will be formed, we'll use ray diagram. So here, if you will notice, I created a chart, and this will serve as a guide in order for us to know if we are doing it correctly. So let's start with our first location. So location number 1. So we are going to illustrate the first location. So remember that the types of rays are, I only included letters, or I wrote their letters. So C stands for cheap ray, P stands for principal ray, and F stands for focal ray. So let's start with location number 1. So here, let us take a look at the object position. So let us illustrate first our diagram. And let us label it as well. You have to label it because the labels will serve as a guide for us. So this one is the vertex, the width of the mirror or the aperture, the center, I hope it's center, the center of curvature, alright, and the focus. And we also need to include the principal axis. That's the line. Okay, so the first location is, the position of the object is beyond C. Beyond C. So nagpas sa C. So we have to illustrate here. Where's my blue marker? We have to illustrate an arrow pointing, or that points upward. This will represent our object, and it's beyond C. Beyond C. So the image position will be formed between F and C. So between F and C, let's use now the type of ray. Let us illustrate first the chip ray, letter C, chip ray. So here we are going to use a chip ray. So if it's chip ray, remember that it always passes through the center of curvature, and it will reflect back through the center of curvature. And then the principal ray. If we are going to use principal ray, remember that this ray is parallel to the principal axis. So the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, and the reflected ray will pass through the center of through the focal point. So observe. So here, if you will notice, the lines intersect. So we are going to illustrate an arrow that points downward. So the image is formed here, where the lines intersect. So let us describe the image. The image is real and or inverted. Okay, it's real or inverted, nakabaligtad. It's smaller than the object, since this arrow that points upward represents an object. So this is bigger, but the image form is smaller. So if I'm going to look at a spherical mirror, and if I am beyond C, definitely the image that will be formed is real or inverted, and it's smaller or smaller than me. So, are we clear with this? Let's go to the second location. Erase it. So, location number 2. In our second location, the position of the object is located at the center of curvature. So let us illustrate again this diagram and let us label parts. So this is the vertex. This is the aperture again, the center of curvature, the principal axis, and the focus. So earlier, or on the first location, the object is located beyond C. But this time, the object is located at C, or the center of curvature. So let us draw an arrow here to represent an object, and the types of rays that we are going to use are the following. We have the principal ray and the focal ray. Again, if we are using a principal ray, this type of ray is always parallel to the principal axis. So the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, and the reflected ray will always pass through the focal ray, or the focal point rather. Okay, again, this type of ray is the principal ray, and the other type is the focal ray. So if we are using a focal ray, remember that the incident ray or the focal ray always pass through the focal point, or the focus, and the reflected ray of this ray is parang di pala center. It's not a center. So erase, erase, erase. I won't be editing the video, so it's okay. So again, let us illustrate this again. It has to be on the center. The parts must be labeled properly. Focus. Okay, let us start again. So we are going to illustrate an arrow at the center of curvature, and again, just like what I mentioned earlier, the arrow represents the object. So we are going to use principal and focal ray. So principal ray, it's always parallel to the principal axis, and it passes through the focal point. Now, if it's focal ray, the incident ray, or it passes through the focal point, and ayan. Okay. So look at the diagram. So the lines intersect below the center of, or at the center of curvature as well, or below the center of curvature. So I'm going to illustrate an arrow pointing down downwards. So let us now describe the type of image form. So the image is real or inverted, and it's the same size with it has the same size with the object. So if the object is located at the center of curvature, the image position or the image will be formed at the center of curvature as well. The image is real or inverted, baliktad, and it has the same size. The image and the object, they both have the same size. So next location is the third location. The position of the object is between the center of curvature and focus. So let us illustrate again the side view of our spherical mirror. And let us identify or let us label the parts of our mirror again. The parts must be included. So that you'll not be confused whenever you illustrate a ray diagram. And an arrow, of course. So the arrow now, earlier, we've mentioned that in our first location, it's beyond C. Second location, it's located at the center of curvature. And now, it's between C and F. Between center of curvature and focus. So this, okay, we are going to illustrate an object here. Okay, and the type of rays that we are going to illustrate and use are the principal ray and the focal ray. So we are going to illustrate again the principal ray. It should be parallel to the principal axis, and it passes through the focal point. And a focal ray, if it's a focal ray, the incident ray will pass through the focal point and will reflect parallel to the principal axis. So observe our diagram. So this is the portion where two lines meet or intersect. So definitely the image is formed here. Okay, let us look at the image position. In location number 3, it's between center of curvature and focus. The object is between the center of curvature and focus. The image position or the image will be formed here, beyond C. So it's beyond C. And let us now describe the image. It's really inverted, obviously, yes, because it points downward. The arrow points downward. It's bigger than the object, yes, because this one is the object, this is the size of the object, and the image form is bigger than the object. So that is our third location. Let us go to our fourth location. Location number 4. Sorry, I have to erase this one. curvature, the focal point, and the principal axis. So location number 4, the object is located at the focus. So palapit ng palapit. So beyond C, center of curvature between C and F, and now here at the focus. So another arrow. And this time around, we are going to use chief ray and principal ray. So let's take a look. So if it's chief ray, just like what I mentioned earlier, if it's chief ray, it will always bounce back through the center of curvature. Bumalik lang. And then the focal ray. So if it's focal ray, principal ray, sorry. If it's principal ray, so it must be parallel to the principal axis, and the reflection will pass through the focal point. So here, if you will notice, there is no image na form. There is no image. And at the infinity, walang hangganan, diba? So rays are parallel. So both rays are parallel. Can you still follow? Okay. So that is location number 4. We go now to, I have to erase it again, illustrate it again, erase it again. It's okay. Okay. Then label it. Okay. We are now going to illustrate the fifth location. So here, the object or the position of the object is between F and B. So the position of the object is between F and B. What will happen now? So it says here that the image will be formed behind the mirror. So it seems that the image seems to appear behind the mirror. Sa likod, parang nanggaling daw sa likod yung image. So this time we are going to use chief ray again, and then a principal ray. Obviously it will pass through the center of curvature. So, kung galing siya sa likod, it seems lang that the image appears from behind. Imaginary broken lines. We use broken lines. And then we will also use a principal ray. So if it's a principal ray, obviously it's parallel to the principal axis, and it will pass through the focal point. sila magsasalubong? Here. Dun sa imaginary nating line or broken lines. So if we are going to use a spherical mirror and my location or my face is located between F and D, so you can see it here, but I can see it, but you cannot see it. So it's bigger, or my face is bigger than the reflection is bigger than my face. So here, kung saan sila nag-intersect, imaginary. So the image seems to appear from behind. So that's why the type of image that will be formed is virtual or upright, nakatayo, and it's bigger than the object. So it's bigger than the object. So whenever an object is, or whenever the position of the object is between F and D, or the focus and the vertex, the image appears, it seems that the image appears from behind. Parang nanggaling sa likod. So that's why it's bigger, it's upright, and upright or virtual or bigger than the object. And the last location is, or the sixth location, last illustration, last location, so last, and then label it. Okay, the last location, or the last location position of the object is at infinity. So malayo-malayo daw. So parang nasa ano, so kumari ito yung pinakamalayo. So we'll draw an arrow. Actually, it's the opposite of location number 4. At infinity. So the image here will only be using principal ray. Kasi sobrang layo na niya. So kapag malayo-malayo na, first, we'll use principal ray, so the reflected ray will pass through the focal point. So, there will be no intersection of lines, but since we are only using principal ray, so all of the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, and all reflected rays will pass through the focal. So the image that will be formed is real, maliit lang yan, smaller than the object because it's located here. And it's inverted. So that is the last location. So I hope you've learned from our discussion. If you still have questions, please don't forget to email me or PM me. Okay, so these are the different locations. Please study the object position and the image positions as well. You have to be familiarized with the types of rays. Okay, so I think that's it. And that's it for my discussion today.